Good afternoon and welcome to the Polish for Affordable Housing and Transit Mayoral Candidates Forum. This is a nonpartisan event designed to engage the community around upcoming elections and for
Ебальник,
candidates
скрой,
to
блядь,
express
иначе я
their
тебе сейчас
position
переебу,
on
блядь,
affordable
конкретно.
housing and transit concerns in Durham. I am Nicole Higgs, as Jim just stated, the moderator for today's Candidates Forum. And my role is to facilitate discussion, to ensure equitable speaking time for all candidates, and to ensure that candidates adhere to the allotted speaking time. Marissa in the front will be our timekeeper. The green paper will alert you when it's time for you to start. Yellow will warn you on the remaining time, and red will let you know when your time has ended.
Да иди ты нахуй!
Yes, I gotta get my warning time, 30 seconds remaining, and stop.
All right, so for half of the questions, you will give 1 minute remarks to the scripted question, and then we'll have 1 minute for additional comments or rebuttal per candidate. We also have some quick fire questions that will either require yes, no responses or 30-second responses. I will start with a different candidate each round of the questions. Additional comments or rebuttal will flow clockwise from the candidate who initiated the round. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Take notes if you all here. All right, so we'll get started with our first candidate first, Charlita Burris. We would ask all of you all to start with a self-introduction and how important promoting affordable housing and expanded transit is to you. And you all do not have to come to the mic. If everybody is quiet, they can hear you very clearly from where you are.
You're gonna tell me
Good.
this
Oh,
of 1 minute or?
this is a 1 minute question.
We don't. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me see how quick I can do this in 1 minute. First of all, I'm not a Durhamite. I was transplanted from Washington, D.C. So if you know about Washington, you know about me. I'm a PK kid. My mother's 95 years old. She's still living. She's still active, and she's the reason why I'm running for this campaign. Now, I am a community activist. I'm not a politician. I talk to people. People is my whole life. I'm committed to you. Obstacles we can overcome together, mission driven for the city, motivated to succeed. Unity works involvement with the people, team work, oh God. You matter all at all levels. I'm proactive and proud, open to ideas, pragmatic, leader and law, environmental matters, crime and family legal work, wages, y'all catching this affordable housing, programs that lead to home ownership, okay, youth centers and LD, disabled, hearing, visual impaired. Now, I'm fat too, so that did it.
That great example.
But I am the new leader, ready to reset Durham, ready to listen to the.
Now you
Gotcha.
hear that, whoops, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't practice this. Okay, Deidreana.
So I'm Deidreana Freeman, Durham City Council member. I've ran in 2017 and won my first race, and again in 2021 for the second race. And I am running for mayor. I will say that I ran on a platform focused on social, economic, and environmental justice, and I'm still focused on those areas. I will say that I'm also adding in a focused attention on community engagement and a few other areas. I do want to just give a little bit of background for folks who do not know me as a dedicated community leader. I'm a champion for the people to address that social, economic, and environmental justice. It is aimed at shared prosperity. My diverse journey has shaped me into the authentic, compassionate leader committed to serving Durham. My commitment extends to preserving Durham's culture while developing equity-focused policies with over 20 years of combined leadership experience, including the nearly 6 years on City Council, 4 years on the Planning Commission, and 14 years organizing against racism. So affordable housing plans is really nice.
Thank you very much.
For the Panthers because they don't value really any.
We're getting feedback. The mic is not picking up voices as well as we thought. So if you can go up to the podium. They could hear, but
Oh, okay.
are we ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me when you start, I'll start.
It's on.
Okay, all right. My name is Marshall Williams. I am a Durhamite, born and raised from the city. Played professional football. I've done work in tech. Recently moved back here, to do work in tech at Cisco. Developed my own technology as well. Currently on the workforce, development economic board here. And my mission is simple. I'm here for the people. I'm here for the right thing. I'm here to make sure that our policies align with the market rates that we're looking at. Affordable housing is the key to it all. I believe that people have homes and access to the things that they need to have access to in their neighborhood. It all uplifts from there. And I feel like we haven't developed a policy that actually aligns with the real issues of the people. So affordable housing and transportation are very important because I believe in a 20-minute walking city. Everyone has heard that before, where access to grocery, access to jobs, access to entertainment should be within 20 minutes. So that is my plan to actually do a real policy solution that fit our lifestyle. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. I'm Leonardo Leo Williams, and I'm running to be your next mayor. And I want to thank you all for having us here today, but I also want to thank every last one of the folks that have been crazy enough with me to step into this race because we all care about this city. I'm a two-time teacher of the year, turned business owner, so educated entrepreneur. I have seen the DNA of this city inside out. And here I am today, really bringing my character to this race, because I think that's what's most important, being able to bring folks together. In order for us to move the city forward, in order for us to move this city forward with intentionality and care, we have to be able to do it together. So that's what I'm most excited about. I am one of the leading representatives on the city council right now when it comes to transit matters. And I believe in order to get affordable housing,
That's,
thank you.
Блять, сука, ёбаный рот, нахуй!
sorry.
Praise the Lord, my name is Lester Rams. I'm a pastor of local church in Durham. I was a chair of economic development for Durham Business Professional Change, vice chair of economic development for the Durham Community Affairs of Black People. So I've studied the economy, I know what the economy is like, and I'm telling you, the things that happen in Durham.
Go, 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 go. Так, еще
They're
30
taking advantage of a lot of us because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. One of the things that says, follow the money trail and you'll find out what's going on in Durham. There are people, the state of Durham now, in the last decade, 10 years, the black population goes from 37% down to 33%. Why is that? Look at redlining, what it has done here in the city of Durham. It's pushed low-income people out of Durham, who are like, oh, everything's okay and everything is fine. No,
Вы что, ебанулись, что ли? У меня что тут, блядь, сайт для педиков, что ли? Я ваши все ебал. Идите нахуй отсюда, Леонте упишите летому Баскову, блядь.
Thank you. Go fast, oh, good.
Representative Dante.
Yeah, Dante.
Jonte Dustin, we asked candidates to introduce themselves and say how important promoting affordable housing and transit, expanding transit is to them. We have 1 minute for
Start.
Сука, ты меня уже заебала, блядь. За что? За что? За что?
You asked the question on how affordable housing and transportation is a.
4-5-0-D.
Got their vehicle back. My vehicle was down for 5 months. And I had to get on the bus every day. And basically, I had to get on the bus every day to get back and forth to work. And that's a hard struggle right there. Because you have to absolutely get up 3 to 2 hours.
Возьми трубку, Чечня на
And the working industry around here relies on that transportation to get back and forth to work. So you asked for the affordable housing? Is that what that was
Yeah.
right there? The
10 seconds.
Okay, the affordable housing. How can we have affordable housing and we still have overdevelopment going in the community? And also we have housing discrimination.
20 seconds until explosion.
All right, so we got through the first round. Everybody okay?
8, 7, 6,
You're doing all
5, 4, 3.
All right, the next question, we'll start with Dante. The question is, the last major investment in affordable housing by the city of Durham was the 2019 bond issue for $95 million. Next year will mark 5 years since that action. What specific and substantial new investment in affordable housing
Announcement system welcomes you to the Black
to help meet our community's most
Member,
pressing needs?
have a secure day.
And then Deidre will come in.
Okay. Okay, this is a question that was asked to me like 3 days ago. Okay, number one, you asked to say we have $95 million, $95 million, right?
только не на себя, твари,
And
блядь,
next year,
поганые.
we have to wait until the new council gets in. Now, number one, how can we figure it out when we haven't seen no audit yet? We don't know where the money's going to. So right now, we can also tell how our city's acting right now because there's confusion about the money. So it's hard for me to say until we get a hard audit in every department around here to figure out where the money's at. Then we can figure out next year how we're gonna get the money because we have to clean up what was done. And we can't just come in and just say we're gonna do this and do that where we have not seen no audit. Because any other department, any other type of business, in order for new management to take over, we have to look at the last books. And if we don't look at those books right there, I can't blow smoke up here. I can't blow smoke up here. I need an audit first in order to answer that question.
Good afternoon, Deidre Freeman. I will say that, based on the previous audit, I think we're, in a good place with the $95 million bond. I think, we have I know we have the Forever Home, page available for anyone that does want to see where we are and what we should be auditing against. I think that there's great opportunity in the coming year. We missed this opportunity this year with our home ownership, with our home ownership, program. Just acknowledging that we didn't have the folks we needed in place to do the actual underwriting for the loans or the commitments that would have been made. And so there were 11 that would have been made this year that didn't happen. And I think next year we're pushing for 75. And so that'll be a big part of what I'm focused on in the next year. I will say that we can continue down that path, acknowledging that there are plenty of projects that are happening across the city and making sure that they actually include at a minimum, at least 15% affordable housing would be a really great way to move forward. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know what was.
No.
Yes, I've read about the 95 million bond, but frankly, I feel that right now we are facing things that call for more. I think that a bigger investment into housing is needed. If you look at not only the problem is calling housing, the shortage of housing and the levels of income that we have for our jobs. We don't have places for our men and women that work here to be able to afford homes. And so we need actually more investment to increase those homes. As we looked in New York last week, maybe we need to take innovative approaches, which I'm here for, to actually take a unit for affordable housing through Airbnb. There's a lot of properties here that have a lot of vacancies, a lot of units that we can explore with Airbnb as New York. So I push for a bigger investment. I push for actual investment that matches the needs of the current economic condition to make sure that we have actually enough money to provide for the housing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So, ready? Thank you for the question. You know, we can put as much money we want on the books for affordable housing. A local municipality is never going to be able to do enough. So relationships matter. And public-private partnerships is a really great way that we can extend and scale our ability to provide affordable housing. But we have to think about affordable living. We have to think about what contributions can, with the current development projects that we have going on, how can we increase and partner with those projects to increase the amount of affordable housing that we are providing? When I say have affordable housing, I'm talking about the actual structure, but in order to really make affordable housing a reality, we have to talk about affordable living. And what I was about to say earlier was transit helps us with that, being able to diversify the footprint of the housing options that we have. Identify those transit corridors, and then we can build along those. We could increase without impeding upon the character too much of our cities. Since I still have time. Smaller bonds, more frequent, rather than too big at once.
This is why I'm running, because we've been played in the city of Durham. And we that don't know politics and the economy don't know we're being played. They combine the income of Chapel Hill and Durham, because Chapel Hill's income is higher, what they use to determine affordable income. Affordable housing is still not affordable for a lot of people, because what they're doing, they're taking those who making 60,000 qualify for affordable housing. Got folks making 20,000 getting pushed out of the city of Durham. I know folks come to our church, they're leaving the city of Durham because they cannot find anything in Durham they can afford. And why is this happening, and especially in the Black communities? Because of redlining. It was intentional. What are they doing to address redlining, where they charge people exorbitant interest rate? And that's why a lot of Black folks in Durham were rented instead of owning their home, because they could not afford to buy the home because of the exorbitant interest rate. But you know what? They're not even considering that at all. They're talking about affordable housing. They're overlooking it. We're being played, and that's why I'm running, to bring this stuff to the forefront so we'll know what's going on in the city of Durham, not be played by these politicians anymore.
Yes, I was on the ground floor for 2019 with Jim when they first did this $95 million bond. Started out good, but now it ended up bad. I'm speaking because I live in DHA. I don't make 60,000, and I can't even move. Now I can't move, and I would like to move. Okay, so I'm for transportation because I'm in transportation. I drive every day. I know what's going on in the streets. But if we don't let y'all as a community talk to us, and we really be about our business and our truth and do what we can do, but a lot of this on legislative level. You don't go to the Senate and take our concerns, which I hope the new city council and the mayor does this, take our concerns on the legislative level so we can change some of these things. It's not going to be changed on the local level. It really is not. But you're looking at a woman that's in it. Or the crime in it, running from bullies in it, you know.
Just for a point of clarification, this might be set up for those that are online, not to amplify in the. I apologize.
So maybe just like a tiny bit louder when you're out. Right. That's all, yeah.
Right, our next question is a 1-minute question for each candidate, and we will start with the Durham Freeman. The question reads, do you have any reason not to support the vision statement that the coalition and other community groups have endorsed for the redevelopment of the 505 site? Our proposal outlines the components we urge the city to include in the RFP for the development of the 505 West Chapel Hill Street property. In brief, based on our assessment of downtown Durham's needs, we believe that the 505 RFP should prioritize the following: housing with 25 to 30% of the units permanently affordable for those at 60% AMI, rental space, including a full-service grocery store to serve downtown residents of all incomes, community green space, and historic recognition, and affordable office space for nonprofits and other service organizations. We will go down the line as we go through this.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me now. I would say that this is a great question because I feel like Affordable Housing and Transit did a really good job of advocating on behalf of folks who need housing. and just realizing exactly how much pressure to apply so that we could move forward. I want to say that when it fell apart, I was kind of excited. Unfortunately, I didn't think we had the right plan in place. I really would like to see the city develop, and just acknowledging that the Heritage Square property is down the street. And if there's a way to make some connections around what happens, then we do more than just 25 to 30% affordable housing. We have phenomenal opportunities. These are very picturesque areas of our city, and they're really gonna change what our skyline looks like. And I do think that we are in a good season of really like thinking about what it is to be intentional about housing. And for people that really need affordable housing, it's not just 60%. I think it's a diversity of all the way up to 120%. And so this conversation seems to go way further than just this 1 minute. And so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Dr. Project, can you all hear me now? Okay, good. I have no reason to oppose the 505's mission. I'm from a community here, and as I look through the proposal, that's what this development incentivizes through green space. I believe that we need more dynamic investment, dynamic development that once again just matches the needs of the people today. Far too long has government and politics gave a solution 5 years too old. But we actually have a chance now to actually make solutions that actually meet the needs of our citizens. And more importantly, coming from the private sector, we have to. I see every day of innovations put forth in there to actually move us into a thriving nature. But I only see investments here putting us to make us in a more empathetic and just dependent nature. I believe those things could be made whole with the 505. I believe in those things. I especially believe in honoring the Hayside and that corridor west there, the Durham right here. I believe that's important. So I support the 505 and I support dynamic investment development to make it fit for our citizens, including mixed use.
Then, sir.
Thank you for the question. This is gonna change the landscape of Durham, where it looks downtown. And in the very beginning, I was actually approached and someone said it needs to be all affordable housing. And I pushed back on that because we have to be practical about how we create and sustain affordable housing. As it is now, I am totally in support. And I don't want us to look at affordable housing as being some cheap, low down, beat up structure. If you go downtown Miami, 40% of those structures are affordable housing. But it's about partnership. And we can bring that to Durham as well. As a matter of fact, there's an organization called NANA that I'm actually bringing to Durham with a few attorneys that will help us navigate those conversations, which would allow us. I'm also glad that we waited. We do need a grocer. Office space, I think the market, we need to reassess and determine what the need is at this time, the demand for it. And one thing I'm proud of was getting some of the developers that are building in downtown Heritage Square, Fayette Place, and others, getting them to meet each other so they can leverage each other's projects for the benefit of the community.
You're doing great. All right, when you're ready.
Once again, we're being played. I'm really frustrated at the lack of knowledge that politicians have concerning what's happening in Durham. My cousin was supposed to be going there. They go, no, she live in these subsidized houses up here. They said, no, you can't go there now. We're not gonna put you in there. We're being played over and over again. When are we going to wake up? When are we gonna see what the city of Durham is doing? When are we going to wake up? That bothers me. We come and act like we're so educated and well informed, but we don't know what's going on here in the city of Durham. When are we gonna stop being played by elected officials? When are we gonna start speaking up and becoming a voice for those who don't have a voice? When are we gonna do that? And it just frustrates me. And we sit there like, oh, everything is fine. Durham's one of the best things in the world. Yeah, look at folks being pushed out of Durham. Look at folks who have housing in Durham. Look at folks who we feed as a church, folks who are homeless on the streets now. And we're just like, oh, Durham is great.
Hear me out, that's the moment in me, I understand. Listen, Give me a question, give me a thing. Oh, this is what I want to say. In that particular question right there, and I've seen this from a lot of developers, they're not telling us how many affordable houses are gonna be built in these places that they're talking about developing. Furthermore, when we talk about grocery stores, it needs to, this is an international culture going on now. So just don't say a grocery store. We need to accumulate everybody that's somebody, and all of us is somebody in these places. I'm for the city developers. We got people right here in Durham that's qualified, that's able to build their own entities that they want to build in Durham. Why not? We go to the developers out, well, why not we do something with the ones we got here? And give them the opportunity. We all got visions, but you gotta give us the opportunity to do the visions that we have to set forth for the city. I have a vision. And I know it can be done. It's called coming together, listening to whatever people say, and everybody should be allowed to come to the table that want to come. I'm sorry with my time, but anyway.
Good afternoon, Dante Dunstan. Again, I don't know how to come behind, Sylvester and, Ms. Burns. Honestly, that question right there is not a fair question, honestly, because the housing situation that's going in here, you got it based on who's with the incomes that are in Durham right now, who can afford it. Before, like we said again, when we brought to attention a long time ago, when these management groups were coming in, taking over from the private landlord. We did not have a real affordable housing situation when the landlords were dealing directly with Section 8 and dealing with the city. But then when these management groups came in, guess what happened? Now we have an affordable housing situation. Now we have a housing placement. Now that question right there, looking at how these developers then came in, and then when the community comes and tells them, this is not what's gonna happen, this is gonna mess this up, and then all of a sudden, the developers get what they want, but the community does not get the affordable housing.
Next question, we'll start with Marshall Williams and end with Deidreana Freeman. The proposed comprehensive plan update establishes the policy that affordable housing should be included in new development proposals, and that the city and county should encourage and incentivize housing that meets the needs of Durham residents. Recently, one of the biggest mixed-use rezoning projects in South Point offered 0 affordable apartments, and the rezoning request was approved. This is a 3-part question. To avoid another missed opportunity of creating affordable housing, would you make affordable housing a condition for approval when development projects need rezoning, such as the redevelopment plan for Northgate Mall, which currently does not offer any housing, let alone affordable housing? Second part is, what specific ideas, plans, or actions would you take to ensure that any redevelopment meets the needs of the surrounding community? And the last part is, what do you believe is the feasible maximum percentage of affordable units that the city should expect from all private developers who build residential rental projects of 20 or more total units, given that this is a community goal as stated in the comprehensive plan?
Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, and can I see the first part I want to make?
Bigger than the phone.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, well, let me just speak on actually being a citizen of Durham and actually understanding or being at that Northgate hearing, which was, I don't know if anyone was there, that was very tumultuous, but it basically goes back to what was mentioned before, public-private partnerships. And we can have those, but if we don't hold people accountable to actually leverage that towards the city gain, then once again, we're corporate for hire, which is much as the city has become. It takes someone that doesn't come from politics to understand what is possible with the public-private partnership. Now, I make it a requirement that these have affordable units, and the 15 to 20% of each development have affordable housing units. So for me, it's very simple. You don't develop unless you are affordable. Why are we allowing people that can come in and exploit our communities that empower it? We need inclusive development. And that needs to be the standard, or frankly, there needs to be another town that they go develop. I feel like the people have said strongly what they want and what they want in their community. But the council and the community have not sided with that. So that's where I sided with you guys. Thank you. Hope that was pretty quiet. I hit it wrong.
Give me a moment to kind of read it.
Yeah.
She added a few things.
I did not.
I'm not gonna pretend I left my glasses in the car, so I can't read it again. It's the long one again?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and answer this. And thank you for the question. I'm starting now. One thing we have to remember in North Carolina, it's one thing to remember, it doesn't mean we give up on it, but we're not allowed to require affordable housing minimums or limits. However, it doesn't mean that we can't use whatever relational tactics that we can to increase that. I do think that, Durham is uniquely positioned to where we actually engage the community a bit more. One thing I think that needs to happen is more communication on how that actually works with our community. Because oftentimes we say, well, you all are just letting them do whatever. We got to get out, we got to enlist the General Assembly to change some things, all right? So I do think the community should help build and direct how we go about this. Yeah, it's a really long question. Communal direction to construction, to development.
Once again, affordable housing, they will allow people to build affordable housing, and it's only affordable some places 5 years, some places 30 years, and then they become market rate. Who are they playing? Do we know that? Are we actually informed about what's happening here in the city of Durham from affordable housing? And then you have right now, they're doing now. I had one lady come to one of the meeting, the forums, she was in tears. They put these high income houses, in these low income areas, and she's not talking about affording the mortgage, she talking about the taxes are increasing so that she can't afford to pay the taxes. And we're looking the other way. Oh, we're doing you a favor. No, you're not. Those low income people want to pave the way for the big income people to come into the city of Durham, these companies, and we're pushing them out. I'm here to speak up for them, to let them know they have a voice. It's not overlooking them. It's willing to address the issues that they're facing.
This question is really not cool. I'm just gonna say, I'm just at all. I'm just gonna tell you how, as the community, that y'all are really not aware of what's going on. We got to figure out a better way, and they always talk about going to the website, going to the internet, and everything. Everybody ain't got access to that. We got to figure out a better way to get the right ways to y'all that y'all know what's going on, so y'all won't be blindsided. Because a lot of this we being blindsided by. I have to agree with Williams, and we say we can't change things and all that. That's not true. We can change whatever we want to change. It takes time. Yeah, it takes time, but you can do it. Being in a low income situation, I just feel for all of us, the disabled and the elderly, we are at a very precarious position right now and sad. And that's all I have to say. We just need to come together, y'all. That's about the best way I can say it. Okay, without being politically correct or incorrect. Oops, there you go. Drop it.
John T. Dunstan, okay, you have quite a few questions out here, and honestly, like the brother said over here, you know, there's no requirement in our community for affordable housing. Like other cities and other, you know, states and stuff that has those programs that are implicated by the federal government. We have to request federal government, we have to request federal money. Now, most of the time when I'm reading on these laws and stuff, a lot of this stuff is ordinances. These are ordinance laws, and these ordinances could be changed. Now, also, when it comes to rezoning, we still going off 1968, 1970, old rezoning laws, and it's 2023. So why do we have to continue to use the old statute of the zoning laws, the old statute of the ordinances, when we don't need legislature? The ordinances could be passed through our council. It could be passed through our community. But this question right here, it's hard to say when, look what type of economy we're in right now. And look what we have to get ready for next year.
I'm just gonna start because of the 1 minute. I want to say that this question is probably a layered question because there's an issue around affordability. And so just clearly stating that I support trying to figure out whatever it needs to be to make sure that there's housing affordability is what I want to do. So there's projects that will come and projects that will go. And anytime that there's an opportunity to push for more than 15, 5, 10, 15% affordable housing, that's what I would do. But we have to figure out how to increase the affordability for folks. Because I think what you're hearing from 3 of my colleagues over here and or candidates in this race saying is that they can't even afford to live in Durham, and they're concerned about their family. You know, we just want to make sure that that affordability is in place. And I heard that the additional part to the question, and I didn't miss it, the 20 units, and I was trying to figure out what exactly it was tying to. I want to repeat again. There are different aspects to this affordability conversation. There are levels at the general legislature, and there's parts that are with HUD, and there are parts that are with us locally. I will say what I can do locally, I will do. What I have been doing nationally with the National League of Cities, I will continue to do. And whatever we can do at the General Assembly is gonna start with you also. Yeah.
Thank you. This next question is a 1 minute question for each candidate. We will start with Leonardo Williams and end with Marshall Williams. All right. The SCAD text amendments proposal has been the subject of much debate across many communities in Durham. A particular issue is the limited affordable housing provisions compared to the more substantial changes to zoning areas, buffers, and setbacks. Do you support or oppose the SCAD text amendment as presented to the City Council for discussion on August 21st? Are there any reasons you would like to share for supporting or opposing? And should the current council allow the incoming council to decide whether to approve the SCAD text amendment?
Thank you. I think it would be irresponsible to take a for or against position on SCAD before the council has been able to actually discuss it. There's a give and take in any major policy that comes before. The size of the document, the actual monster of a document that it is, I do think it's problematic. And I think that's not on the applicant, that's on us as an actual government. That's a policy change that we can make. We can say, listen, no more applications beyond a particular size or addressing a certain amount of zoning codes. But there are a lot of things in it that are really good. There are some things that are concerning. But when we were engaging in the community, what I heard most was the size of the document rather than the substance in the document. So I think that mechanically how we receive applications is the first thing we need to address. When I hear folks talk about it, they're saying, hey, I need this, not SCAD necessarily, but what they want in their community, it actually addressed some of those things. But I wouldn't put this on the next council. We need to make sure we do it now and, yeah, we'll continue to work with the new council. Please. Please. Study what the city is doing. The stat you look at, I've read through that document, you look at what is happening. Yeah, there are some favorable things in it. There are other things that are still pushing people out. When are we gonna, I mean, I'm glad we're having this meeting. We have this open discussion about what's happening in the city council. Because a lot of people do not know, do not understand. That document, as he just mentioned, is so long, I'm sure a lot of folks are not taking the time to read through it and see what it's actually doing or not doing. Oh, yeah, the city council, they said, well, I'll go along with it. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're saying. And that's why I thank God that I'm running for office, because I'm going to expose all of this. I'm not gonna sit back and let citizens of Durham get pushed out because somebody with some money said this is what we're gonna do, rather than actually look at the people who've lived here for decades, now they're being pushed out because of something the city said.
Take time.
I do 72, by the way. It's not about, it is about the amount of pages, because I'm gonna say this. It's easy for some people to talk about some things when you don't have, when you got people on different educational levels. And that's what I have a problem with. We have to be continents to know that we're dealing with people and cultures on different levels. The city council that's in now needs to do something about the scale. They have established a task force. I'm waiting to work on that. So I can read through it too, as well as understand what's going on. Am I for it? Not right now. No, I'm not. Because I want to make sure that before I sign on anything, that I'm understanding what I'm signing on for. And that all of y'all that we can possibly get to understand the same thing. Bottom line.
1 minute to say this, and this is what I'm going to say. SCAD does not create affordable housing. Only way SCAD works, if you have an LLC, you have an LLC, and you have an LLC, then guess what happens? You create your own monopoly, and that monopoly controls the land. That's how easy I can say it. It's not for us, it's for business. It's for seizure of land, taxation without representation. So therefore, you take the land from the people, you develop it, and then you tell the people to work for their land. So the SCAD program, honestly, is like a poker game. I fold.
Thank you. This is interesting. I would say that, just to step back a little bit, SCAD is a simplified code for affordable development. I'll say it again, simplified code for affordable development. It has nothing to do with affordable housing. And that's where the problem starts. And I would say that I cannot in any way, shape, or form support it, because it does not address affordable housing. And that is where our shortage is. It is not in housing as a whole, it is in affordable housing. And that being said, I will also add that the mayor in her foresight understood that people may not understand what is coming forth. I think people are confused because it is a lot of pages, but that's what the UDO is. There are changes being made or being proposed in SCAD for specific setbacks, specific buffers. And that doesn't mean that it changes the buffer or the setback. It just means like whether it's 50 feet or 100 feet, that difference makes a huge difference by neighborhood where you live in your community, whether there's environmental sensitive areas or whether there's historic areas. Like all of that needs to be taken into account in a very real way that's like impactful for the neighborhood. And so I cannot support it right now. I'm on this task force to make sure that we get to a point where we can. Thank you.
All right, I have read the SCAD document. While those are some good things there, I believe that not for this current time, because I think that the commitment to affordable housing relationship with our developers needs to be solidified first. We may not be able to do things legally, but we can develop relationships to make sure that developments are done inclusive and equitable. Now, concerning SCAD, there are a lot of things that we will benefit from SCAD, but I think the new council should have an opportunity for the simple fact that SCAD is a thing that will have implications far more than 2 years, or far more past the implication of a lifetime of us. So we need to be pertinent and need to make sure that the things that the people want, the sentiments from what I heard at that council meeting, that they are afraid that development will exploit them. And I don't hear anyone talking about the sentiments of the people that build that trust. This document, as good as it may be, falls apart if there's no trust. And right there, there's no trust from our community with our developers. And first and foremost, we need to address that to have any development done.
What's that?
Okay, this is our last 6-minute question. Each candidate has a minute to respond.
That's 1 minute per person.
My apologize.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But we be here all day.
Each candidate will have a minute to respond to the following question. Starting with Sylvester Williams and ending with Leonardo Williams. The question reads, do you support regional rail service? This is not commuter rail focusing on weekday 9 to 5. So do you support regional rail service in the future of Durham Transit? And what steps would you take to achieve it?
Once again, I think I know too much of the finance and the economy. The light rail failed. About $200 million went into the light rail. We have nothing to show for it. Now they're talking about once again revisiting light rail. Well, guess what they're gonna do? The depots where people are gonna go and catch them, they're gonna put them in these low income areas, further pushing people out. Please, we got to understand what's going on. $200 million, there's no accountability for it, and they're talking about revisiting it again. Wouldn't we be better if we simply put more funding towards busing? It's more flexible. What sense does it make to drive 5 miles to catch a train to ride it for 5 miles? Makes no sense. In the United States of America, I've studied, there are only 2 places in the whole country where they say that light rail is making money. All the others, they're still having to pay for it because it's not making enough money to sustain them. I'm saying, when are we going to wake up?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I went in a trance real quick. I'm sorry. Okay. The person that's over the transit system now is from Washington, D.C. When he first came here, I was the one that stood up transportation and went off on him because I'm in transportation. Now, what I want people to know is this. You got people that have never been outside of Durham, not going outside of Durham. You're going to spend money in transportation and probably have 2 people riding. Because if people have never been on a train or experienced going, you know what I'm saying, somewhere, they're not going to do it. I'm not in favor of spending unnecessary money for things that might not work. That's the problem with Durham. Durham is spending unnecessary money that's not conducive to the community. It's not working, y'all. And I'm talking about now, Metro, it took years for the Metro to get where it is to now. And until we gain the trust back, which the trust is lost by the behaviors of some up there right now, until the trust is gained back from the community, it's going to always be no. It's going to always be that until we can figure out a better way. Study, know the transportation laws.
I couldn't wait to speak on this subject right here, okay? Now, number one, I will gotta get a real quick thought. it's not gonna go through with the transportation, because number one, I'm gonna speak on it, sorry, but Duke controls majority of the territory that they wanna do that transportation line through, okay? Now, when the Army engineers came in and said that, you know what, instead of us having this project be about a couple of years out, if we cut through their area over there, guess what happens? We would have had it. We would have connected it from Hillsborough to Chapel Hill, and that line would have been straight through to the university. That would have brought in income. But when they, city of Durham, and those started talking about annexing properties around Duke, that's when all of a sudden $200 million just went out the air right there. And guess what? If Duke says no, then guess what? We're not gonna get it. So that transportation coming from Washington, DC, I'd rather go back up to DC and ride the train, but getting people prepared to ride it down here when you have territorial lock around, if Duke says it, you gotta ask Duke first.
Thank you. I think this is a great question, just acknowledging how our population is growing. And so we are going to need regional transit. That is going to be a necessary part of our transportation system. But as of right now, I think the priority is bus rapid transit. We know that. And so I can see planning for regional transportation and doing bus rapid transit at the same time. I serve on the Central Time Council of Government, and we're going to need to figure out how to connect multiple counties across the state in order to continue the commuter rail or heavy rail or whatever rail that is coming across right now. But I do think that we need a new plan for Durham. It's just acknowledging that we're gonna need some more Danville connection and a little bit more northern, more Roxborough, where everyone's getting pushed out of. Because there are folks who have been Durham residents for multiple generations that are now living in those counties. They still need to keep connected to us. And so I do want to have a more robust conversation about what that regional rail looks like.
All right, this is a very nuanced question that definitely would take a lot of planning, but just to put it in perspective, 90% of the transportation budget currently is spent on car infrastructure. So I'll strive for parity, just look at bikes, bike lanes, designated bike lanes, updates to our bus stations to be more inclusive and to be accessible to our elders. But in reading the rail report before, which I was so blessed to read, I don't think the rail has an opportunity within our cities, but I do think the desire for rail is in the argument between new partners, between our tech partners. I believe we offset that traffic off 40. The climate change that can have initially will be great. In addition, it will provide a base for us economically that we can tax these companies with a rail to connect their work. I am one from the city that understands riding a bus is something that's kind of foreign, but when I moved to bigger cities, everyone rode the bus and everyone rode the train. We have to wake up and we have to become a new city in order to thrive. And it's gonna take some time, but I believe if we invest in our city from 1.8 to 5.4 to what Denver is doing in their rail investment, we can have a surviving city. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. North Carolina, we're a wide state. Imagine connecting the economic powerhouses like Charlotte, Durham, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Wilmington. Regional rail plays a vital role in economic development across the state of North Carolina. However, our recent survey from our residents overwhelmingly supported buses. So think of it from a micro, meso, and macro point of view. Micro, we need to make sure that you don't have to go take 2 hours to get to work across the city of Durham. When I had my first restaurant on 15501, I had someone from East Durham. It took her 2 hours to get to work and 2 hours to get home at night. I would have to actually take some of my staff members home. That shouldn't happen in our city. So we need to focus on buses right now, which we're doing, keeping them free. But also regionally, right now for $7, you can get on Amtrak and go from Durham to Raleigh for $7, and it takes 29 minutes. That is something we can build on. Light rail was shooting for a goal or a problem a solution without a problem. So much. Regional, it's not yet.
All right, to make it a little bit more stressful, now we've gotten to the 30-second question. All right, this question will start with Sharita Burris and end with Sylvester Williams. The question reads, the current UDO defines affordable housing as legally restricted for a minimum of 30 years, and policy 39 draft of the comprehensive plan affirms the period of affordability. Do you support the current policy, or do you support reducing the length of required affordability?
It's kind of hard to decrease income when you don't have them. I mean, like you said, affordability here is just, it's just crazy, and I'm talking about me now. Now, the United Development Ordinance it's done on a local level, and like others have said, if it's old, it needs to be relooked at and revised. Because we cannot go on stuff 30 and 40 years back. I'm sorry. I'm 64. Even I done risen to the occasion. There's some things that we cannot look about. I think we can reduce it, but it's still according to people's income levels. Because you can't reduce something that's technically some people that's already reduced.
Ms. Bruce, I'm sorry, I've had it set for the 1 minute,
No,
so
no,
can
what?
you wrap up for me,
So-
please?
I guess I done wrapped up, cause I guess I done wrapped up.
Yeah, 30 seconds is not very long.
Oh, you said 30 seconds. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, so gotta
We gotta-
change my timing.
Yeah,
Huh?
yes, 30 seconds.
30 seconds,
Yeah, 30
it's
seconds.
not long. Give us one thing. Top thing.
Ready to go, the question, coming from a person who just came from just had to go all the way out to Thomasville to go grocery shopping because groceries was low. Honestly, around here with this, like you said, how can you sit there and base something on when your income is below the 2 times the maximum you have to make? It's a rhetorical question. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have to do the research on this to give you a straight up answer, because I'm not gonna blow smoke up you, straight up. That's a rhetorical question.
Thank you, sir.
I gotta hear Sylvester see what he has to say. Straight up. I'm sorry, I can't answer something that I'm not gonna be straight up with you on.
If only it's just 30 years or less, I mean, simple question could be yes or no
The
answer.
question is asking whether we should keep it at the 30 years or should it be reduced?
You wanna start over? A quick yes, no?
So 30 seconds, I'll just say that no, it should not be reduced. And actually we need to figure out how to land bank a little bit more. Just acknowledging that there needs to be some homes that are forever affordable. Acknowledging that the 30% and below needs to be maximized, around most of the transit corridors and everything. I think we were working towards that and kind of got thrown off with the light rail, but we can get back to that. Thank you. I think that's it.
Be direct, no, I don't think it needs to be reduced. If you look at the market and economic conditions now, I don't think that we need to be reducing affordable housing when we have inflation and between the economic factors that are in place. I think once we get our citizens to a place where they can afford those homes, we need to evaluate that. But right now, I think we need to match the economic conditions that everyone is facing in the nation to make sure we're fitting in size. Correct.
To be frank, the AMI is a flawed metric in which we identify affordable housing anyway. Considering Chapel Hill is very imbalanced to Durham and they're grouped in. I don't think we should reduce it at all. As a matter of fact, I was one of the lead supporters on permanent affordable housing, supportive housing with housing community. And we're about to do a UDO rate. Right.
Mexico with the terrorists, one of the oldest housing projects in North Carolina. You still have people now still living in McDougal Terrace now. They're trying to push out. Come change it, lower it. Are you serious? I mean, please, let's wake up and understand what's happening in the city of Durham. They're forcing people out intentionally. That's an intentional. If McDougal Terrace still have people there living there and other housing projects in Durham still have it, and they're one of the oldest since the 1950s, we think, oh yeah, we can get in 30 years. Let's be honest with people.
That's why he answered, I couldn't answer. That's the reason why.
Okay, this is another 30-second question. We will start with John K. Dunstan and end with Sharlita Burris. The question reads, the city and county have reduced or eliminated property taxes for lower income homeowners. The county, with city approval, is eliminating property taxes for senior homeowners who are extremely low, so that's less than area median income. The question reads, should the city or county eliminate property taxes for all homeowners who are extremely low income, meaning less than area median income?
Heck no, you cannot reduce those property taxes because then you're gonna create what you call a have and a have-nots. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, I play the Sims game and my Sims, they pay their taxes on time. And you need certain taxes to actually keep our economy going. Now, if we reduce the taxes, now I'm gonna tell you who don't need to pay taxes is the teachers, the educators, the first responders. Now let's give them a tax break. But the way property's going around here, the way these developers are going, they ain't going right. Let's increase the taxes on the developers.
So, sorry, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. So just a short version, I think that the county initiative to lower taxes for folks who can't afford it is a really good one. I will say that I've been pushing for the city to actually extend the grants that we made available for folks who, where we push their tax rates up with development projects. I want to continue in that vein, just acknowledging that our protected class needs to expand so that it includes people with disabilities and not just by income, because those medical costs can get up there. So I think this go on in the conversation about.
Okay, well, leaving the taxes for our elderly, I do not agree with eliminating taxes overall for all homeowners. I do not want to start that sentiment to the citizens. I don't believe that they will always be low affordable people. I think that we can change them to being homeowners, and I don't want to incentivize not paying taxes as a way to stay in that current state. Government has talked to people as far as just trying to get them to affordable. Well, actually, I want to get them to be actually home ownership and actually economic participators into our economy. And having taxes off for everybody won't be good.
Yeah, I think one thing about having a vibrant economy is we get to actually involve programs such as the Covenant program for folks that are on, that won't go back into the job market. I agree with Councilmember Freeman about expanding our protective populations from elderly to actual handicap. But federal government has given us a really good example of the pros and cons of how we handle public housing. We can do it differently. I want to continue to expand those grants and programs that we have in place.
I spoke with the gentleman from Miami. He said what they did there in Miami, they froze the taxes on houses till the house was sold. If we bought a house, we paid for the taxes for that house, why do we need to continue to have these increasing property valuation tax rates on our houses? Went from was about 8 years, now they're evaluating houses now every 4 years now. A lot of folks have a problem with senior citizens, older people. How am I going to pay these taxes? I'm no longer working. Where am I going to get extra money to pay it? We've got to learn the system.
hold on this question. Has everybody ever heard the word hands up and hands out? That's the problem. I wanna be a homeowner, even at 64 years old, but how do I become that? When nobody explains or come and talk to me and walk me through. So no, because as time changes, we're gonna have to change. We're looking at over 300,000 people that are already close to you that are moving to Durham. And I will say this, a lot of people move from the north, not moving here to line way over nothing else. They just want to retire and do the rest of their life in the south.
All right, our next question is a 30-second question as well, starting with Deidreana Freeman and ending with John Tay Dunstan. The question reads, do you support the expansion of the city's expenditure of funds this year for sidewalk repair and expansion to improve access to bus stops? And would you support such expansion in the future?
Oh, goodness. That's like a soft.
Right, that was.
Yeah.
End on that.
So I will say that I spent the last 5 years pushing for the expansion, coming from being a community, well, in the community as the capital improvement programs or projects, liaison, or the small group committee that was serving on. So I'm serving on the small group committee, and I've been excited about our expansion of the infrastructure push for sidewalks, sidewalk repairs, and even just arborists, just to make sure that the trees are cut back and everything else that needs to be done so that our streets and sidewalks are safe and accessible for people with wheelchairs or strollers. Thank you.
Like I previously mentioned, yes, I support the expenditure on our roads, bikes and everything. I feel like our transportation department, like I said before, 90% of the budget has been on cost. We did 30% of our roads don't have sidewalks. So we need actually infrastructure to actually match the current situation and the population that's wrong. So of course I support expenditures in that area to make us fit for a city that actually is aligned today with our citizens.
And they're asking you to speak up.
Speak as loudly as you can, okay, or not as loudly as you can.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I do support more funds toward sidewalk repair. You know, we have to really look at it through an equity lens as well. Federal Street has not had any investment. We're now going to invest in that, and we're trying to align other projects so we can get the best bang for our buck. The fact of the matter is the entire city needs to be ADA compliant. And I think this is one way we can work on fixing that goal as well.
Yes, I'm in agreement. We need to have better sidewalks in the city of Durham. Where I live, they want to close down the park that the children participate in. Then they go to Holton Resource Center. No sidewalk, walking on the street about 2 miles, go to a place to play basketball because they're gonna close down the park where they were playing basketball. Made no sense to me. They didn't have sidewalk, nothing to make that trek. What I'm saying, we gotta understand, go to the city of Durham and see what's needed, because right now, we're being played.
Well, I ain't never played musical chairs so much in my life. This is good exercise. I just received 2 emails and the answer is yes, I do support sidewalks, because again, I'm in transportation and I drive. But I just got 2 emails concerning Roxborough and Main Street, the danger over there. You got to be safe with everything, because these people are walking in the street. We driving that bus and they're not wearing clothes, they're lighted up. It's dangerous. You will hit somebody. So it's stupid not to want to see sidewalks and stuff, but people still walk. And I like people to be safe as they're walking.
John Tay Dunstan, yes, I big time support it. From the person who just got their car back this weekend, car been down for 5 months. had 5 kids, have to get up and walk everywhere, had to walk the food line. Fayetteville Street, yes, we need the sidewalks done. Because sometimes the sidewalks around here and the conditions are dangerous for people in wheelchairs, and now we have people on the scooters. I've seen people get tripped up because the sidewalks are uneven. Yes, we need it big time for people who has to get back on their feet. I'm one of the individuals who got back on their feet, and thank you for the individuals who helped me get back on my feet in Durham.
Thank you. This is our last question, 30 seconds for each candidate. We will start with Marshall Williams and end with Adriana Freeman. The question reads, do you support the continued installation of bike lanes on city streets?
Talk loud like you all in this.
That's right, that's right. My voice was projected. Yes, I do support bike lanes. People, let's just be honest, in today's world, people get to places a lot more dynamically than just a car or a bus. I mean, Ubers and a lot of different things are transportation, but we need to make sure that the city's transportation is dynamic and fulfilling those needs. We have a lot of new residents here that want to bike, and a lot of new residents here that want or have climate initiatives as well. Biking is a way that we could do that, and I think biking is also symbolic of the community as well. So I do support that.
Yes.
Yes.
If you've been living in Durham like I have all my life, for no car, you see that the traffic in Durham is not conducive to these bike lanes. People have passed me all the time, running red lights past me, not looking one way or the other. If we're gonna have biking lanes, we need to make sure they're more secure and safe than what they are now. Because right now, what we're asking for now is fatalities on our road. Those bike lanes mean nothing to a lot of the travelers who I see traveling roads now. We need to go back and re-investigate and relook at what we're doing now, what we call biking lanes.
My answer is yes, because I drive a bus between Duke and UNC. I see bikers all the time, but they've got to be safe lanes. If you ever drive a bus, you know what I'm saying. They're cutting me off like I'm numb. And you know they do the same for the cars. So they got to be safe, they got to be visible, so the drivers like myself will be able to see what we need to see while we're driving on the road.
That's it, Robin.
Yes, yes, yes. From a 43-year-old man who had to get back on his son's bike to get to a location. I've seen the dangers that's out here, and yes, we need bike lanes. Also, we need to enforce the ordinances and rules of people who are riding bikes around here. We have people who do Tour de France around here. But like I said again, we have some drivers around here who are not courtesy to our bike owners, our bike riders. And yes, it's dangerous for the bike riders out there in the street. So yes, we need better lanes. We need yes.
Thank you. I would have to start by saying we need to actually have bike routes and we acknowledge that we're biking these transportation needs to have a protected route. So that folks can get to and from at least north, south, east, west. And then also we need to prioritize doing bike lanes where there are no sidewalks and make sure that they're protected as well. I do want to send my heartfelt regard out. I know there's some folks in the room who've lost loved ones in bike accidents. And so we just want to make sure that we're doing our vision of zero work to make sure that no one else is killed.
On behalf of the Affordable Housing and Transit, I would like to thank each of you all for sharing your position on affordable housing and transit issues in Durham. I thank you all for your flexibility. We thought the mic was going to pick up everybody, so the maneuvering. And thank you all, most importantly, for your time. I know we went a little over time, so I just thank you for that. You all are free to stay.